Thanks for watching Afternoon Live. Okay, why does the G in George sound different from the G in gorge? And why does C begin both case and cease? Our next guest takes on these questions in his new book that breaks down the 500-year history of the simplified spelling movement. We welcome the author of Enough is Enough, Our Failed Attempts to Make English Easier to Spell, Gabe Henry.
Hi.
Thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me, Hannah.
So you got interested in this topic something like 15 years ago. How did you first come across it?
I first learned about it in college, and I remember being struck by the sheer silliness of it.
Yes.
Which I think is most people's first impression. You know, you read a word like laugh, spelled L-A-F, or though, spelled T-H-O, and it seems very modern, very digital, very internet.
Yeah.
But people were using these words back in the revolutionary times, in the Middle Ages, and it was this attempt to make our language simpler, make it shorter, make it more phonetic. And once I started digging into the movement, I realized, yes, it's still a little silly, but there is a real core of seriousness and a real rich topic that all these brilliant people have attempted over the years.
I've got a 5-year-old learning to read, and we recently came across the word laugh and the frustration with that, where she's memorizing all these conventions and she's looking at me like, Mom, this is super annoying. And I'm like, yeah, it is. I totally get it. I mean, that must be...
I mean, that's the thing. So much of learning English spelling is memorizing.
Yeah.
It's photographic rote memorization. It's the more exposure you have to reading, the better you are at understanding how the words work. But it doesn't have a phonetic logic to it.
No.
Most other languages do, and English is unique in that.
Tell me about some of the historical figures. A lot of people have supported this over the years. Ben Franklin, Mark Twain, Teddy Roosevelt. It sounds like Roosevelt had some pretty good gumption that he was going to make this kind of the law of the land at a certain point.
Yeah, Roosevelt, if anyone came the closest to making simplified spelling the law of the land, it was Roosevelt. So in 1906, the Simplified Spelling Board is founded in New York City by Andrew Carnegie. Mark Twain is part of the Simplified Spelling Board. Melville Dewey, the creator of the Dewey Decimal System, even a U.S. Supreme Court justice.
Wow.
And one of its biggest supporters was Theodore Roosevelt, the U.S. president at the time. And Roosevelt, in 1906, he orders his government printing office to recast all communications, correspondences, documents of the executive department in simplified spelling. And the response from the press was just pure mockery.
Well, sure.
Yeah.
Lots of political cartoons. We saw a couple from the time were pretty brutal about it.
Yeah. I mean, they tore him apart with exaggeratedly phonetic headlines. They misspelled his name on purpose as R-U-Z-V-E-L-T. And I think it was a fun time to be a journalist.
Well, it's so interesting to cover this history that, you know, predates America and then all the way to like current day pop stars and how they spell songs or rappers spelling out lyrics. How did you figure out how to put this all together into one book?
I mean, the core of the book is that English spelling is absurd. And we all know this. You have words like womb, which rhymes with room, but not with comb, or laughter, which rhymes with after, but not with daughter.
It's so painful.
So it all came together because I've always wondered why words are spelled this way.
Yeah.
And as soon as I realized that for centuries people have been attempting to make our spelling more logical, and not only random reformers, but some pretty important historical figures, I knew it was something I had to write about.
It's funny how many different people came to those conclusions on their own and sometimes teamed up together if they happen to be contemporaries. And then are there still some people to this day who will like picket the spelling bee because they're really hoping that eventually we can get simplified spelling back?
Occasionally, the relics of the simplified spelling movement, there are still many simplified spellers out there.
Yeah.
Occasionally they will picket the bee. Probably half serious, half publicity.
Yeah.
But they have a point, and I think when you read this book, you realize that every simplified speller has a point. But the question is, do they accomplish it? Do they execute it in a practical way that will create lasting reform? And the answer, as we know, is No, not really.
Not yet, yeah. So how does your brain process all of these different words and the phonetic spellings and stuff? Because when I see these things like the political cartoons, I have to really think hard to read out the phonetic spelling. But you've been consuming so much of this stuff, and you say it's probably made you a worse speller.
It has. Don't ask me to spell anything, please.
So brutal.
I mean, I look at your name, Hannah.
Yes.
And my brain immediately goes to all the unnecessary letters.
Yes.
You got the second H, second N.
Yeah.
So my brain automatically is thinking, how do I simplify it?
Right, and take letters out and make it easier. And then you talk a lot about shorthand and stenography, and those have really interesting connections to like abolitionist movement and women's suffrage and people kind of using those to their advantage and how it connects to literacy. I mean, it's just such a tangled web.
Yeah, English spelling might seem like an old dusty topic, but it is at the center of a very important conversation about access and literacy and communication. And in the mid-1800s, a lot of the simplified spellers were overlapping with these other countercultural movements: suffrage, vegetarianism, alcohol temperance, and abolition. Actually, a lot of abolitionists viewed simplified spelling as this tool that might accelerate literacy among newly freed slaves. And in the years after the Civil War, some spelling reformers and even some former slaves traveled the South teaching simplified spelling to these newly freed communities.
Yeah, it's so fascinating. We could talk for hours, but thank you so much for stopping by. We're so thrilled that you're in Portland this week.
I'm very happy to be here. Thank you,
I want to
Hannah.
let everybody know that Gabe will be appearing on Livewire Radio tomorrow night at the Alberta Rose Theatre. Well, he will also be doing a book signing. We will have all that information on our website. The book again is Enough is Enough, Our Failed Attempts to Make English Easier to Spell by Gabe Henry. We'll be right back with more Afternoon Live right after this.